water are going through a similar transformation. And companies like Better Place are part of that vanguard, leading the way and leading us to a world of modernized 21st century innovation. We're delighted to be here today and be part of the team. We applaud the efforts of Shai, an extraordinary management team and group of employees who really are part of leading us to this new future. Shai, let me turn it back to you for Q&A.
Thank you, Ellen. And thank you for our entire board. Welcome to the board, Kevin. And thank you, Anthony, for a great due diligence process and true trust and friendship that we've developed over this year. You're part of the team now and feel part of Better Place already. Thank you. With that, we'll open it up for questions. We have a number of people on the phone lines and on the web. Just to wrap up on some of the key points on the deal. This is the largest private investment deal since the 2008 crisis. Which in and of itself could be a good sign for the economy. It's definitely the largest investment in clean tech history, and it's one of the largest pre-revenue private investment in history. Again, it's to put it in perspective, it's actually bigger amount than the entire budget allocation in the U.S. government has put to electrification in the stimulus package coming in from the private sector. That shows that innovation today can get funded in very aggressive ways once you have a good idea and a good team that can execute on it. We're very much delighted by not only the funding that will take us through in the next few years, but also by the great validation that the due diligence process and the actual investment that followed on that diligence process by HSBC, by Morgan Stanley, and Lazard. I think the combination of the validation and the scale of the investment creates an inevitable switch to electrification. We're looking at an innovation that is coming into a market that has not innovated for more than a century now. The size of the market, the size of the car and gasoline market in the aggregate today are $10 trillion a year. If you look at the total market for cars, their ancillary products, and the energy required in order to drive those cars. As we've talked about it, we mentioned it a lot. We've seen Carlos Ghosn's image here, but the partnership with Renault is significant. It's on a great track. Renault is delivering their cars and have put more than 10% of their research and development funds into electric cars, with the introduction of 4 cars coming in the next 24 to 36 months. It's a great partnership, and it's working very well for us and for Renault. And I think at the end of the day, all of it comes down to consumers, and what we're seeing is that consumers are finding that with the Better Place network in place and the Renault cars that can take advantage of that system, switching and charging together gives consumers a car that is more affordable than a gasoline car and more convenient than a gasoline car. And we expect consumers to always pick cars that will be more convenient and more affordable than the cars that they're offered by the market. All in all, a great deal for all of us. And if we have a couple of questions that are waiting on the lines, and I'll open it up for those questions to come in.
Rod Lash from Deutsche Bank. Your line is open.
Hi, everybody. Congratulations.
Thank you. If you could just identify yourself.
This is Rod Lash from Deutsche Bank. Just had 3 questions. I was wondering if you can elaborate a little bit on what the capital is going to be used for. I assume it's mainly infrastructure. Talk a bit about how far this is going to get you, how much you expect to raise ultimately for these first 2 countries, and whether you're anticipating that the additional funding is going to be all in the form of equity, or are there other forms of financing that you're looking at?
Thank you, Rod. So the usage of the capital is actually going to be for 3 main reasons. One, to complete the research and development on the solution, the trials, and the development effort that's required during the trials to get the system up and running by middle of next year and installed in the ground. The second usage is our contribution towards the operating companies that we've already announced in Israel and Denmark and Australia. We have our share of capital that needs to come into those partnerships. And finally, a lot of the capital will be used to open up new markets and open up new countries with a focus mostly on Europe and on Asia in the next 12 months. So those are the key usage for the capital, which all of it in this round has been equity. The money that we've raised right now adds up to the money that we still have in the bank from the previous round. And it will take us, we expect, until break even at the global level. We're in the midst of other rounds in the operating countries, in the countries that we've established subsidiaries. If we complete those rounds, then this money should really take us well into 2012 and 13 to break-even points on some of the countries that have already been mentioned. Additional funding is coming in the form of vendor-based financing, some equity, some debt, and a combination of all three. And we will, over time, start getting more and more towards debt and financing tools as we get to proof points on the first launch countries and proof points on the technology. But still, some equity rounds will still be taken in each country.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
EV World, your line is open.
We can't hear. If you could raise the volume.
Our next question comes from Jim Fryer from EV World. Your line is open.
Thank you. Shay, in a normal competitive environment, you would be looking at your comment about a 2 to 3 year lead over everyone else as a expected comment. Those of us who followed this field in some ways view, though, that the entire field is so fledgling that those would-be competitors are actually helping you make the market. And I'm referring in particular to Renault's partner, Nissan, and what Carlos Ghosn's vision is here in the United States, which, if anything, is aimed in exactly the same direction. And your worry really should be the incumbents and the status quo of a petroleum economy, not just those that are trying to push this same kind of change. Does that paradigm make sense?
Yeah, I think, Jim, we've said all along that we would be delighted to see another participant of scale that would be able to educate the market and help us, in a sense, educate the market and push it through. In a sense, if there was better place and an almost good place, we will always be in a much better position, given that we have started so early and we have put so much effort into the development of the product, and we've moved so fast forward. You're absolutely right that at the end of the day, what we sell, kilometers or miles, is exactly the same service or product that a gas station sells or a network of gas stations. And so the real competition at the end of the day is an established market, $3 trillion worth of gasoline sold at the pumps. We will be delighted to see more car makers, and we'd like to see other people that build and innovate on the solutions towards electrification. The more players in this market, the better we are.
Thank you.
Got one more question?
Our next question comes from Bill Moore from EV World. Your line is open.
Congratulations, and this is, I'm sure, very exciting news for you. Can you share with us what, a lot of this, of course, the technology is based on the concept of being able to swap out the batteries. Can you tell us what the status of your technology development is and when we might see the first operational stations be deployed? And have you established sort of a model as to the ratio of stations that you're going to need in, for example, Israel and Denmark, as opposed to the number of public and owner charging stations?
Yes, I think that's a great question. The first battery switch system, we've demonstrated half of it, if you want, in Yokohama in a public way in May of this year, on May 13th of 2009, last year. The first full-fledged battery switch station is actually built and operating in Israel. We actually operating it inside a clothes hanger in the middle of Israel so that we can actually run tests on it, not in a public way, but it's been demonstrated it works. It takes less than 2 minutes to actually do the full cycle on the battery. It knows how to operate multiple battery types, so if two different types of cars can come in